All right, here we are. Zachariah Wizard.
That's been right in front of my face this whole time, and I didn't realize that. I
So
am
how are
new.
you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you? I'm doing great. It's Friday.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm I'm okay. Trying not to stress out about life.
what do you mean?
My job is getting ready to change, so I've been like a nervous wreck for like the past month. And long story short, I'm going to be training a bunch of people on Monday. So yeah, and I've trained people one on one in person before, but never like six people with observers on the internet where there's like a bit of a language barrier.
How
So
do you get
yeah,
a job observer? I want to be an observer. What do they mean? Are they just like stand in the back of the room with their arms folded?
sort of virtually though, but no, that's like people who are sort of tracking the progress of what's going on and kind of they're there if things sort of if there's any technical difficulties and whatever. But I was an observer all week this week and I was a nervous wreck and it had nothing to do with me. So I'm just like trying to chill, trying to have some downtime before the chaos starts next week.
I'm very. We do all like our weekly meetings at my job with the upper management team are all Zoom now, of course.
Yeah.
Even though we do work, we don't get in the same room anymore. And I have to do, I'm not normal. So 80s movie and find a still and put it in the background so it'll distract me from the fact that I'm on the phone and being looked at by all these people, and
Yeah.
so I can imagine that it makes me very uncomfortable to do those.
Yeah. Thankfully, we are not on camera
Oh, you have to
because
be.
they have to view my screens because I'm teaching them things
Oh,
on the screen. So at least I don't have to be on camera. That would really be not fun. But yeah, it's just gonna be I just I just need to get it over with. Like it's the anticipation. It's kind of like when you go to play a show and you're like waiting around and you're nervous and you're nervous and you're nervous, and then once you walk on stage, you're totally fine. I hate the like I would do better if they were just like, oh, by the way, guess what? You're training people today. you
yeah,
know?
not 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't stress, but in 2 weeks, this is what you're doing. You're like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's me too. Same thing.
I've been stewing away for I think 2 months now.
2 months. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, probably 2 months. And so the big thing is like Monday. So no pressure.
they're like, hey, when you're 55, you're gonna have to do all this stuff. You're like, what's it? Why do you tell me now?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
So anyways, that's work talk. Who cares about
Yeah,
work?
yeah,
Although I was thinking earlier, like you and I have had some really interesting conversations about because we're sort of both in the same situation where we used to do like music pretty much full time, and then now we're just like working stiffs with kids, and we do music, but it's like only a part of the picture instead of the whole picture.
absolutely.
It's I think it's a unique perspective because as we've talked about, most of the people that we know who are musicians are very selfish. I don't want to say, but very kind of egocentric about who they are and like what they want and what they're doing. And so having to divide their time
Yeah,
is
it, I, mean, it,
difficult.
I think it takes a lot of. Well, it takes more than what I had to do. I chose to get a career. I didn't think it was ever off to where I could feed a family with it. So I just chose to keep doing it, but it wasn't my full time
Yeah.
focus. I did struggle with that. I
It
absolutely
is hard. It is hard. I mean, Mike and I kind of already had to do that anyways because of his health situation. So we already had to say, okay, well, we can't be full-time musicians anymore. Because at the time, you couldn't get health insurance unless you were employed. And so
Yeah.
he would die without insulin.
What
So
do you
we
do?
had jobs, and then so we were already living the job lifestyle when we had Dirk. So it wasn't as big of a culture shock, I guess, even though we're old and had a kid, which was a bit of a culture shock.
So
But
how when you had
I was 39 when I had Dirk, and
okay,
Mike is 9 years older than me. So, like,
right.
we already had a whole life
And
before
then
having him. It's just
holy
different.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That's why I think it's cool. Like when I meet other parents, sounds weird.
No,
I
yeah.
still don't even consider myself like a parent. It's weird. But like you guys, you and Toby and stuff. It's like it's always cool to find other people who are doing the music and also like not taking off on their kid, because I do know a lot of musicians who you wouldn't even know they have a child because they don't talk about them, they don't post about them, they don't show their faces. And it's not because of privacy reasons, it's because that's not their focus in life, which is so bizarre to me.
Yeah, could never imagine. Couldn't even like even now. I had Toby several times that I'm a I always make, he's always saying you 9 shows a year, and I'm like, hey, that's me, but I'm happy with that. I'm good. But we talk about imagine I seen my kids for a week. I mean, I went to my 40th birthday. I went to the Cure 40th anniversary, and I went by, and that was 5 days, and I that's my son every night. I don't even know how. I was missing my cat. I was like, put
Right.
my cat on the thing, So I the biggest 1980s record deal ever. And they were like, yeah, we're gonna give you $100 million, but you have to tour 300 days a year. At this point in my life, I would say, you know, I couldn't
Yeah.
do it. I guess that's the difference between me and someone who wants the dream more than I guess.
Right. Right.
You know, I came
Yeah.
to terms.
My gosh, with everybody doing school online though, I think you could almost make that work at this point.
Now I'm like, wait, online school? But
Yeah.
I couldn't. I know that I think Cold Cave West does that. Takes his kid and his wife everywhere. They go everywhere together, which is super cool.
It is.
They make that work. But to me, like I grew up in a neighborhood where there was 10 other kids that we went and played army, and this time we would just hang out and go chase women and do whatever, all the way to we're 18 and moved out. So I don't think I robbed my child of that, and maybe not every kid wants to do that. I feel
Right.
like, that I feel like I was kind of gone anyways. It's the world, like we don't
Yeah.
know any, I don't know my neighbors.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. I grew up the same as you. You know, uh, middle of nowhere, Ohio. Everybody knows everybody. Every kid in the neighborhood played together. And like, I feel so bad for Dirk because, I mean, first of all, COVID, you can't play with
Right.
anybody anyways. But
Nope.
even then, it's like, I just don't trust people. And like, he has some really good friends at school, and I trust their families because I've gotten to know them, of course. But like, just random kids and stuff, I'm like, I trust the kid. I don't trust maybe the person that's living in the house with them.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's like I feel bad. It's like they can play outside and whatever, but you're not going in anybody's houses. It's like
It takes
what if
a
you have to kill somebody?
it takes a while to let go of that, and so my oldest is 15, and it took me. It was hard, but I couldn't try. I was like staying the night, but I would. I would do stuff like go drop them off with like a wife beater on, shorts. It's like, all right, man, you be good,
Yeah.
I'm not
Right.
telling something happens to my son.
Yeah.
But I can't. And then now it's easier. I have 3 boys, but I understand what you're saying. But I couldn't take a childhood from my child just to live out my that way. I couldn't do it. You know?
Right.
I like my job. I like building stuff, and I've
Yeah.
done well. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I
Mine,
cried.
mine's okay. Like, it is what it is, basically. Like, I don't hate it, but
Right.
would I much rather be doing music and writing full time? Yeah,
Absolutely.
but that isn't life. So,
Yeah. I mean, I really envy Toby because he's such a cool dude, and matter of fact, we were just talking the other day because I'm really struggling with whether to keep the secret post active. Because I mean, there is no. I mean, to me, I can't see a end in sight for a show to be safe.
no,
Whether I just can't. I know some people think it'll come back up and blah 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 this, but not even just for audience people, that you could expose. But I don't want to bring anything home, you know.
yeah,
And so my struggle is, do I just go on to do an indefinite hiatus? So I was texting with him, and he was in the studio. He called me later, and we talked about it. What I told him was I was struggling with the loss of self identity of being in a band. I've been in a band for 25 years. Not this band. This band is old, but I don't know if it will be stuck with me to not be, in a band. And
yeah.
yes, but if someone says, "Oh, you're in a band," yeah. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. I don't know. I've never said that.
Solo.
Well, yeah, but I've never. Well, I'm not in a band, So I was looking for a little bit of counseling from him on that. We had a great conversation. He's a good dude and a great friend of mine. And but yeah, it's totally like I don't know what are your you do something for 25 years and then I right now do want to take a hiatus and I want to do stuff I've been doing. I think I've you um, and I want to explore that more. And then I've got another to do with Rob Adams who produced the last two songs. Uh, Amazing drummer. He was a drummer for Gene Lowe's for 25 years, and just on a whole other level of any other drummer I've ever played with. Like my brother's my drummer, and I love him. He's a great drummer. But when you sit down with someone like Rob, who started session drumming in the early 80s, you can tell that he's been. I mean, it's so we want to together, and I kind of just want to my life not be called on to do a show, or whatever. Like we don't do a whole lot of shows, but what we do is we host bands that come to talk. And I try to bring cool bands like Soft Kill, Wingtips, that we won't normally get through here. I try to make them come through here so that and I have to play the show. Like I said, I dread it all the way up. I love. I do. When I'm on stage, I love to play live. I love delivery. It's like a drug for me. But everything leading up, I hate.
Yeah.
Hate it. And so I kind of want to be free of that. But at the same time, I don't know if that will mess with self identity. What are your thoughts? What do you?
Well, having been basically forced into that position, I mean, when I met Mike, um, we were recording the Burning Circle, and then after that was done, we started touring, and so it was like the band was everything. And then when Mike got sick, everything stopped. And so we had to get jobs, and we still managed to make it work. Like we would work someplace and then quit, go on tour, come back, get another temp job, work there, quit, and stuff like that. But in the late 90s, when the scene basically disappeared, like it went from like you'd go to Borders and like they'd have a Lycia card and they'd have all of our CDs, and then 6 months later everything was pulled. There was nothing. You couldn't find Lycia stuff anywhere. um there was just like the record label was like on to the next thing, whatever. And then we moved out here to Arizona, and it was like everything, so much stuff had happened with the band that we were just basically like, we're out. Like we couldn't get out of the contract. We couldn't, couldn't do whatever. So we lost that identity essentially. And it really does mess with you because it's so ingrained in who you are as a human being. And even now, like I have this work persona who's not related to this person. And
Yeah.
so still very it's still hard for me at almost 50 years old to rectify the fact that I'm not a full-time musician. So I don't know that that ever goes away for people like us.
Cool.
You just have to figure out how it works into your current situation, basically. So, like, I think if you love doing it, you'll keep doing it in whatever manner of speaking, like whether it's you recording a song every once in a while or staying in a band and just doing it when you feel like doing it,
Yeah.
But I don't think it ever goes away from that yearning desire of more, like wanting more. I don't think that ever goes away.
Well, I think right now is like the most perfect time for me to have this little identity crisis because it's pretty much can't do shit anyway. So I might as well explore that now and for the and the new landscape of music today. There's bands that don't even play live and literally can record music,
Sure.
release music, make merch, and you don't even have to play live because
You really don't.
it's insane to me. And if you do want to play live right now, you can literally set up and do a video and play virtually. So it's almost a time for me to explore that. But I did have a little bit of a mental crisis about it. And thank you, Toby, for making it. But
I completely understand it though, because it's like this weird, torturous thing. And like most people at my work don't know who I am or what like they don't know me besides the chick that codes insurance policies. And when they find out, it's always just like this weird, what? Like, yeah. And I think but that part of me is just hiding when I'm at work.
yeah, exactly. And like I said, like my wife is. At least your husband knows how that feels and whatever. But my wife is not musical in any sense. She doesn't even have a favorite band. Like we are completely opposite. Zero tattoos. Has no taste in music at all. Literally, she never cusses. Maybe every once in a while, and I'm like, whatever as fuck for me. So, but she doesn't understand what I mean. You're talking tonight. She's like, just do whatever you do, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not that easy because I feel like it's who I am, and I know it's not all who I am.
Right, of course.
But to say to myself, I'm not in a band, I think it will mentally mess with me. And now is a good time to do it, and also now is a bad extra mental.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you just say I'm never going to be in a band again, you'll regret that. But
Can't do that.
it doesn't have to be like a pressure filled thing. It's like if it's not fun, don't do it.
Right.
But if there's no rules to being in a band anymore at all. Like you said, I mean, some bands don't even play live.
That is true.
We haven't played shows in like forever. You don't have to.
Yeah.
And you could set up in a garage and make a video. I mean, it's so easy now, really.
Into it. I'm never. Thank you, Terry, talking into it. So that was. I wanted to talk your opinion on that. Thank you for the insight on that because I obviously have been in that situation. So I'm glad to know that it never goes away.
I don't think
regret anything, and I love the guys in my band a lot, and but I kind of am ready to go on a hiatus and explore something else, and because we can't do anything anyways right now, it's really that also weighs on. also feel like what I talked to Toby about was I have this responsibility for those guys. Is my band, and I don't want to let them down by saying maybe that's what they're hanging right now. I don't know.
Right.
We don't get to hang out. Guys were obviously super close buddies of mine and my brother is a drummer. He still obviously comes to my house because that's my brother. But so I don't know. That was one of the things I wanted to ask you about. So thank you for the insight on that.
I don't know if I helped any, but I mean, I mean, if you don't want to do it right now, don't do it right now. And then when you want to do it, then do it. Basically. Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around it all.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But one of the things I did discuss this evening with you was Billy Squire's shorts. You thought I was fucking with you, but I'm not. That's Billy Squire's shorts.
I mean, I might have to pull up a picture of it on my phone.
I mean, because if you listen to his records, which my mother, exposed me to that, lots of great music. She's the one that got Eurythmics, Motown, all of this, Pink Floyd. My mother was really hip, is a really hip and cool lady. And if you just Billy Squiire, before those videos came out, you think he looked like Robert Plant, or
right.
And then you videos and you're like, he looks like Richard Simmons.
Yeah. I mean, I've read articles about how that one video destroyed single-handedly just destroyed his career. Because he wasn't taken seriously before that. It's kind of sad. Like, he was completely manipulated by the record company, and like it literally ruined his career. It's so sad.
It is, but
an outfit and some dance moves ruined his career.
I mean, it was literally like a workout video. And I feel terrible for the guy because, like you were saying, what a player and what a singer, man. I mean, shit.
Yeah, his songs are great.
Oh, excellent.
Even the one from the horrible video is a great song.
Absolutely, I like all everything my mother ever played for me. I have some of it. I'm not gonna lie. So, anyways, that was
how much older than you am I?
I'm 42.
Okay, all right. I'm not that much older then.
Yeah. And
I'm used to everybody being a baby, like little.
But, yeah, and when I was younger, older people, a lot. So I grew up kind of fast. So, I was in a hurry to grow.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Rob, I think I don't want him to get a bad number because he's almost 60, and 25 when you're talking to him, and as he calls me a baby, and he's like, man, you sure know a lot about my era, age, but again, as my mother, my mother was married to an Indian in the early 80s, and here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in like 1981, nobody wore earrings. You know what I mean? Hardly. Maybe these guys. This is like a legendary Tulsa punk band, and they got her then, but hardly anybody wore earrings. And he was a very good guy, and I got a lot of my influence from him playing records after being 3 or 4 years old, and subliminally. I didn't know then, but I was listening. I literally 90% of the bands I listen to are English. I think that had a big impact. But anywho, I don't know where I was going with that, and how that came out of Billy Squire's shorts. But, I didn't.
You don't want to know what comes out of Billy Squire's shorts.
But I said I was going to bring it up, so I just wanted to.
Oh, poor Billy. I think everybody thinks I'm sort of kidding when I talk about my love of Billy Squiire, and I'm absolutely not kidding about it.
Oh, yeah, I get that too. Like, I'll post something or a song or something, and, people are like, I'm putting a laugh emoji, and I'm like, fuck's funny about Cyndi Lauper, bro?
I'll fight you.
Yeah, what are you laughing at, man? Or, I post George Jones, like, how dare you? That was another thing that I wanted to talk about with stigma surrounding anybody in the gothy or post-punky bands. Like we have to only listen to Joy Division and fucking Bauhaus, you know.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And it used to, I used to really pretend like that's all I listened to, you know, because of the image when I was in my early 20s. I cared about have to be, you know, the people. But man, like there's a certain guy in a certain punk rock band in LA. And I met him at a show. I was playing a show, and he just happened to be there. We became friends. I'm not gonna name anybody. Just say this or not, but a legendary punk band. Um, he's like, dude, let's hang out sometime. You know, chill out. I was like, I don't know if I lived in Palm Springs. So he comes to get me, Firebird, right? And he pulls up, and I get, I'm like, where we going? And he's like, and he pops in this tape. You know, this is like 2003 or 4. Pops in a tape. Well, it's Poison, you know. And he's like, we're gonna fucking jam Poison, go drink some beer. You know, because he's like Liberty Spikes, and I'm like, right. It really blew my mind because I was in my early 20s, you know, and it blew my mind that someone in a legendary punk rock band listened to Poison, you know. Right. And so I think that stigma with all of that is really funny. And
it totally is. It's funny too, like, first of all, people should just like what they like. Like, I hate all those like memes that go around like, what's your guilty pleasure? Guilty. You shouldn't feel guilty about anything that you like unless it's, you know, really awful, like illegal kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't get that whole like feeling shame over what you like and whatever. And it is so true. And I don't know if it might be better now than it used to be.
I think so.
I think people are a little bit cooler about liking wide ranges of things now than it was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, and I can remember going to like the goth club or whatever, and there would be people there, like they would refuse to smile. Like literally, if you did something to make them laugh, they would like hide their laughter. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Keep doing it. It's okay to smile.
It's just so stupid. And I'm sure you probably get this too, where people assume that you like certain things. Like, everybody assumes I like ethereal darkwave music. No, I really don't. Like,
listen, yeah.
I mean, I have respect for it, and I think that some of it's nice, but it's like bland to me. Like, it just doesn't do anything for. I'd rather listen to Conway Twitty, to be quite frank with you.
I'm with you on that.
Give me tight fitting jeans over. I don't know. I'm not gonna name it, but
yeah, totally. I'm with you on that. And you know, but I was guilty of that as well in my 20s. You know,
we all were.
But I think as you get older, you give a fuck. Like now, literally, one day I was driving along, had my windows down. Richard Marx song came on. I thought he was really terrible back in the day, and I was listening to it, and I was almost shocked that I was really like this. You know. That's fun. Fuck it, I don't care. You know, Richard Marx, man, you're a player, bro.
That's how Def Leppard. Like, I hated Def Leppard, and like, I heard some Cinderella song the other day, and I'm like, damn, that's a good song. Back in the day, I hated that stuff, and there's some stuff that I hated then that I still hate now. But like, if Def Leppard comes on and I'm in the car, I'm like thankful and crank that shit, you know?
Yeah. I'm right there with you. You know, I more like the stuff, Hysteria and Back. You know, like the first couple records were really, really rock and roll. But I can't. I love like Photograph and that was when I was growing up. So I just, you know, I really like it, and I'm not ashamed. You know, how can I be? I don't like Bon Jovi, although
that's one of those bands.
He's a good dude. I think he's an excellent human being.
Right.
God, can't get with it, you know. Mm-hmm.
Same. Yeah. But it is funny how things like that change, because like I said, I hated all that hair metal. Like you were talking about Poison. I still don't like Poison. But like I heard the Cinderella song. What song was it? Nobody's Fool. That one? I think that's Cinderella.
I think, yeah.
It's fool. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Scorpions.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I had a lot of Scorpions tapes.
Right on.
I have about 400 or 500 tapes still. And so what's really fun to go through those and I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I bought that, or I'm like, man, that's pretty cool for a young kid, or whatever. But I've got stuff in there too, like box set, and shit like that too, because I'm a sucker for pop as well. Most people look at me and they're like, oh, you're in a metal band, aren't you? Tattoos. This is kind of before. Now everyone has tattoos. It's not quite as bad. Back in the day, I had sleeves, 20 years ago, and they're like, oh yeah, you're in a metal band. And I'm like, actually, I don't listen to any metal at all. And they're like, oh, what do you listen to? New Order and The Cure and stuff. I don't know. But that stigma, I think it is kind of going away. But then I see, stuff, and it's obviously still super, relevant, and people are just so elitist. It's hilarious.
Yeah. They just take themselves so seriously, and I think like all these, like if you look at YouTube, there's all these videos like breaking down the goth scene and the goth scene this and the goth scene that, and I'm just like, what a bizarre waste of energy.
Yeah, that is a perfect way to put it. Why do you not have anything else going on that you have to sit there and tell people you're not goth enough for this? Like, Angela posted today, like, people these days make younger goths feel bad because they don't have a certain brand. Well, the OG goths, there were no brands. They made
there
the club.
Zero. Yeah.
And you wouldn't have been able to get in the club had you worn something with a brand on it. Oh, look at me. Fuck off. So
people posters. Because they bought their persona. You didn't. You just bought it off a rack. Those were posters back then.
Absolutely.
They were like the rich kids whose parents could afford to go buy them like $200 PVC pants and like whatever, and we just all saw them as just rich little spoiled posers.
Yep.
Yeah.
But those now it's weird.
Yeah. But it's really also funny to me that people want to define themselves. Like, why? I don't want to have a label. Like, I'm just a person that likes a lot of different things. Like, I never really understand people who have to identify as something specific.
One thing.
It's so limiting.
It is. Now, I was guilty of that earlier, I did want, my first band in California, Wise Man, which the guitar player actually is trying to funny. So, sorry.
You're fine.
We kind of, like I said, in my early 20s, I did push the goth thing, on them. You're fucking wearing eyeliner, because I wore, 13. So I'm like, you're fucking wearing eyeliner. There's no colors allowed. We're wearing all black. This and this and that. And all the flyers had, vampire violence may occur. Be not afraid of the occult, and just weird shit on there. I thought that, trying to create something.
Right.
Now it's laughable to me, but and I worked many years to get rid of that pigeonhole. Once you do that to a band, you're pigeonholed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when you're young, though, I think young kids want to identify so much with something, and like I was talking about this with another friend. Like, you couldn't leave the house unless you were decked out. Like, people had to know that you were different than them. Like, God forbid you look normal because you don't want to be associated with those people. You know what I mean?
I'm not
but that's like being a kid. That's young. The thing that gets me is like people keep inviting me to these elder goth pages on Facebook and stuff. And I'm like, first of all, I am not elder.
Yeah. Well,
first of all, no, but it's just so elitist and weird to me. Like, I can have a friend that's 20 and a friend that's 80. Like, I don't need to differentiate. Like, you haven't been in the club long enough, so I'm not going to be your friend. I don't have anything to talk to you about because you haven't been a goth since 1985, you know? Like, so weird.
It is weird, you know, now as I'm older, weird. And as I would kind of consider myself an elder goth, you know.
Right.
And, I mean, I wear Jordan, I wear cowboy boots. It depends on I might look like a choco tomorrow, and the next day I'll dress in fucking cowboy boots and you know, a hat. Because I don't really care anymore, but I do understand that when you're younger, maybe.
For sure.
But I think it's that being said, you know, there's so much gatekeeping these days. It's ridiculous. Like you said, to me, it's all poser shit. I'm like, you guys are all posers because you're buying your shit from a store. Go make a fucking band shirt. You want to, like, back in the day, you didn't get a band shirt if you go to the concert. So what you went and print one yourself. I just did it last year. There's a band called Rose Garden Funeral Park in Texas, and I contacted the singer Leah. She's awesome chick, but contacted her. I said, hey, I'm gonna make a bootleg shirt of your band. Is that cool? Because that's what we used to do in my day, and you don't have any shirts of it. She was like, holy shit, hell yeah, do that. And so I did, and I think it's cool. They don't have, you know. So
yeah,
people just don't make shit anymore, you know, or do whatever. That's why, you know, I got to get up to Softkill for their merch game because you know I spend a lot of money on their merchandise.
They got. I told Nicole a while ago, I'm like, you need to come up with your own clothing line.
100%. I think that would be a really good idea. You know, I feel like their stuff. I feel like I can buy their stuff because they do a lot of one-offs. You know.
Yeah.
And I love when they do like a play with another band. You know, like the people got really pissed off about the Sad Ball, you know, shirt he did with her being in the Mad Ball pool, and I think it's awesome that he does that. And when you get it, that's it. It's gone. I love how like that's it. It's gone. So that feels like it used to be where you make your shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it also works to their benefit because you've got people love to collect things. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh, I got to get that new shirt because it's going to be good. I mean, it's super smart.
And then I have it, you don't, because haha, I didn't sleep on it, you know.
Right.
They all feel like original. So, you know, even though they do make, you know, 350 of them or whatever, they feel like super original pieces. You know, and when else with a thought on, you're like, I was in England in Hyde Park. Here came on walking around, and I saw a dude in a shirt. So I went and hollered at him. Toby, I was like, dude, Park, check this shit out.
Like a brother.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, you know.
See, that was an interesting thing too about back in the day is that there were so few weirdos that when you saw somebody else that looked different, it was like, okay, I see you. Yeah. And it was like, power to the people. And then now it's like, it's so watered down. Like there's so many goths everywhere that it's like, are they a real goth? Like, do they just buy the costume at the mall? Like, or off some Instagram model, you know, like, so it's like, I get it I get the people complaining about it to a degree because again, it goes back to the whole poser thing. Like you can put the costume on, but do you know literally anything about any of the music or the culture or, you know, it's sort of cultural appropriation for goths, I guess. But, you know, so it's not the same as it used to be where if you saw somebody different, you're like, we know the same bands. We're on the same vibe here. Now it's just like goth is sort of means nothing at this point. You know what I mean? When you're watching like a random sitcom and there's the token goth kid on the show, it's kind of lost the meaning of what it is, I guess.
And I feel like post-punk is getting there as well. You know, that term used to get you'd never hear it. Now it gets thrown so often that I almost, you know, like how I got out of goth was I started labeling myself post punk because then it kind of moved me out of it a little bit, but it's still acceptable by the Goths. You know, the Goths name and stuff. You know, I owe them because they were the people that listened to us first. But I didn't want to pigeonhole it, right? A little bit of pop stuff. And it's now I feel like 10 years later, the post punk is doing the same thing. It's just water. Everyone's saying, well, that's, and you're like, you know, and so now I just want to go full circle and come back to the late 80s or the mid 80s where you just alternative band.
Right.
I just make alternative music.
Right.
But now it's what? Because now everything's alternative. And I want to fuck it. Now I just want to make rock and roll because now there's no rock and roll bands left. You know, like War on Drugs. War on Drugs is one of my favorite current bands. They just make straight up rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, and that doesn't happen. So I feel like it just gets there.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you said that about the post-punk thing because I just saw a friend posting a comment today. I think it was on Angela's thread about how the term post-punk has sort of become meaningless because they're calling everything post-punk, and it was really only about a very specific era of things, kind of. And the same thing sort of happened with the term dark wave, because dark wave was like a little sliver of time, and now it's like everything's dark wave. So I don't even know what this stuff even means anymore.
There's so many genres now that I'm like, I don't even know. Like, do you listen to this? I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Do I? Tell me if I listen to it.
Maybe.
You know, I mean, I like, I saw somebody about White Lies the other day. LB. Fuck. Seminal band for me. Love records, man. They were just absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, you know. But what do they consider? What do people call them? I have no idea.
See, I don't know. That's exactly my point. And like Lycia always kind of fell in that because we're not a goth band. We're not a pop band. We're not, I mean, and that was always our frustration, was that, you know, people want to put a label on you, but then you don't deliver what they think of that label. And so people are disappointed. But it's like, it is. It's like Radiohead. What are they?
Yeah. I mean, which year? Because, you know, that's what's cool about them. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And who knows? Alternative. That's what, that's what I would have called them 3 or 94, whenever that record came out. I would have called them 92 maybe. I would have called them alternative.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you think about a band like Dead Can Dance.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in the same genre as Christian Death, they're nothing alike. So I think that's why, to me, it's just stupid to label anything. Like, just, it's dark and moody. Yeah,
I mean, what do you? I agree. And then, like I said, he said, "Well, do you listen to genre?" I'm like, "I don't even know what that means, dude. You know, I don't even know what that means. So you're gonna have to tell me if I listen to that, because I listen to a bunch of shit. So I don't know."
Right. Well, you're super varied. Your tastes are broad, I would say.
Yeah, I go from, well, my dad was Tex, and he was a greaser from Missouri, you know, and so from him I got the Cash, the, you know, Waylon Jennings, you know, outlaw country, George Jones, that kind of thing. And my dad also liked Pink Floyd and ZZ Top and stuff like that, and all that shit, Seeger, you know, Bob Seger. So I got I got a Southern rock thing growing up as well. And then my mom, you know, she was a California hippie chick, and she evolved with the time, like rhythmics, and she came and got me out of my room in like 1986. Said, "Hey, come here, I need you to watch this video." And as I walk in there, it was here on MTV, and she's like, "I think you would really like it." And you know, that was it for me. Like, I was all over the place with Motley Crue and all this shit before then. I saw that and I was like, fuck that. That's my shit, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, so she's really to blame for all the shit I do now. Thanks, Mom. So anyhow, but yeah, just the stigmas around things, they laugh, and I was guilty of it too. Yeah, but that's one thing I love about Toby, man. He just blurts it out there, and it's fucking hilarious when he does that shit, you know.
I know. His post yesterday, where he was calling out the bands that are going on tour,
Mm-hmm.
his Instagram stories. I just had to message him and said, "This is why I love you."
Yeah, give a shit, you know. And or like, wait, he'll just say some funny shit, man. Sometimes I'll text him and be like, dude, that shit was fucking hilarious. And sometimes I just, let it go. But
Yeah, Nicole
he's,
does it too.
yeah, she does. Yeah, they're both as real as they come. And
Yeah,
yeah, great people. But I love when they do that shit because I just can't do it because I don't want to engage anybody. I don't really care or want to talk to anybody. But
that's how I feel too.
and I'm like, no one would give a fuck if I said it anyway. So
Well, I
who
don't
the fuck?
know if that's true, but it's like I don't intentionally go out of my way to start fights with people. But if somebody comes at me with something, I'll let my thoughts be known.
Oh, definitely.
But I don't, I mean, and I used to actually like to fight a lot, but it's just too exhausting now. Life is hard enough without adding extra drama to it.
Yeah, I have a tattoo right here that says "Day Ruiner." Because I was the same way. I like to engage, and confrontation was my favorite thing. I'm like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go do something else because it's too much. I don't have any energy for that.
Yeah. I used to be like a pit bull. Like I'd be totally chill and then just that one thing too many. And then I would go and then it would be like, I will not let go.
At the throat.
Now you have to like learn. Like I've definitely learned like this is not worth my time. Let it go. Don't engage. Walk away. You don't need to be right. You don't have to have your thoughts heard all the time. You don't need everybody to know your opinion on every single thing.
But that's hard.
It's that's a hard lesson to learn
It is.
because
And
people like to give you an opinion on freaking everything. Like you can't.
yeah.
I like chocolate milk without somebody telling you how chocolate milk is stupid and white milk is better and you shouldn't drink milk at all because it's from a cow and blah 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 blah. And it's just like
Yeah.
I don't even. I can't tell. And you're probably the same way. I don't know how many times I've started to post stuff just about random things like, oh my god, I watched Superman last night and I loved it, and I just delete it because I'm like, invariable, somebody's gonna rain on my parade and it's just gonna make me sad and piss me off. So I'm just not even gonna bring it up. Like I'm dreading.
That's literally 5. I do that 5 times. Like
Yeah.
even on times you post stuff, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just message her later.
Yeah, I know.
I just
know.
don't want to engage from people. I just don't want to hear it. Like you said, it's like raining on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing when you see how it goes, stuff like that goes down on other people's pages. Like I follow Kari Payton. Is that his name? Kari Payton, the guy. He's Cyborg on Teen Titans Go.
Oh,
And
okay.
also on The Walking Dead. And he posted this really cool drawing. It looked like a comic book drawing of his character on The Walking Dead getting the vaccine. And I'm just like, you just read through the comments and all it is all of this negative anti-vax this and you're stupid and blah blah blah, blah. And I'm just like, people can't even post a picture of themselves without act for it.
You can't even be yourself.
Yeah.
That's almost why I really prefer Instagram because you get less. I feel you get less of it there.
It's definitely nowhere near as bad. Like for instance, I don't know what you think of Miley Cyrus. I don't have really much of an opinion one way or the other. I think that I like her a lot now, personality wise, more so than when she was just being weird just to be weird to get attention. That stuff always rubs me the wrong way. But I saw that she did a cover of that Sunday song.
Oh.
She did a cover of it. Because you know how she does those like backyard shows or whatever? And I'm like, I want to click on this and listen to it. Because she has, like, whether you like her music or not, she's super talented. She's got a very good singing voice.
Oh, she can sing.
Anyway, she's a really good singer. So I clicked on this video and I'm like, okay, it sounds really good. It sounds like her doing a cover of that song. It was really nice. It was like had a country sort of twang to it. But it was really good. And then I'm scrolling down looking through the comments, and it was just one person after another, after another, after another, just ripping it. And I'm like, are you listening to the same song? Like, did you even listen to the song? Or did you just see Miley Cyrus and like ripped into it, you know?
I am so glad you said that, because I clicked on that today too, because I'm a huge Mazzy Star fan, you know.
Yeah.
Clicked on it and I
Mazzy Star, that's right. I said Sundays. Anyway.
I didn't even but I clicked on it. I literally said to myself, I don't know who you are. You have to know that's good. You know, I know people are. I didn't even look at the comments, and I almost posted on my page, I don't give a fuck what you think. She fucking killed that song, you know. And then I erased it because I didn't want to hear, you know.
I started to comment on there too, and I said, nope, not doing it.
You know, but she's done several. She did a whole cover, you know, which she could obviously hear her voice. She could do a really good Courtney Love, and she sang with
Jolene.
You know, and what's that?
Her Jolene cover, her Dolly cover of Jolene, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if I'm supposed to like her or not. And, you know, she's actually a quite good actress as well. Did you see that Black Mirror that she was in?
No, I didn't, but I've heard it was interesting.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Really cool. That's what actually made me enjoy a little bit more, was that. But yeah, she's done several covers, and I don't care who you are or if you like the way. And she was being kind of like cozy before, you know, like, ooh, I'm weird, I'm gonna be like Gaga or whatever, you know. But you can't deny the talent. Same with Lady Gaga. You know, I'm a huge fan of hers. I really only liked her first couple records because it was being weird to be weird. But same thing. I don't care who you are. If you listen to that lady sit there and play the piano and sing, there's
sure.
Talent.
You have to recognize the talent. It might not be your cup of tea, but that doesn't mean they don't have talent.
Right.
I was really shocked kind of by the comments that I saw on that Mazzy Star thing, because I was listening to it, I'm like, she sounds great. And the song was nice, and like people were making fun of like the room that she was in, and it's like, do you not get that this is a stage goofy thing? Like,
who cares where the fuck that was singing it? I mean,
just people are ridiculous.
They are. I'm glad I comments, because I was actually quite impressed, and like I said, I almost posted. I backed off and said,
it's not worth it.
No, it is not. But that is brought that up, because I was totally pretty like, oh wow, man, that was really good. I guess I do like her, you know.
Yeah. And like I've seen interviews with her. I watched part of an interview with her on Joe Rogan podcast, and she just seems like like a genuine person. You know, like she knows who she is. She knows what she is into and what she likes, and you know, I like genuine people. I might not agree with everything they say or what they do or whatever, but who the fuck am I to tell them their life, you know? Like, but I don't know. I think she's genuine now. I think she was trying too hard after her post Disney Channel thing to like, look at me, I'm edgy.
Yeah, I got to get off this. Yeah.
Yeah. But now I think she's a cool chick. I don't know. Whatever. I guess that makes me lame.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And you know, it's funny, right to it. I did when I was in my 20s, you know, like one day Toby I posted something on, you know, that you know, that I did or whatever. And Toby's comment was literally the comment I've ever heard about myself. He said, you were too busy doing coke in the day, shirt off. And I was like, that is hilarious. But then I sent him a picture of the desert with my shirt off, and I was high as fuck on cocaine. You can tell I was like 140 pounds. And I said that. But I used to, you know, put tape on my cool stuff. He makes fun of that stuff. Do all kinds of weird shit. Just stuff I like that shock. So I understand weird shit, but I do think he's a real person. And I agree. I agree with you.
Let's not fight. No, there's nothing to fight about. We agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't fight anyways. Even if we didn't agree, I wouldn't fight about it. There's no point. That I think the lesson learned in life is that there really is no point in fighting about stuff. Unless you're talking like human rights violations, you
Yeah,
know.
there's a time.
There's definitely a time, but over like entertainment and like trying to convince somebody that they're stupid for liking Poison or it's such a petty weird thing that people do, and I don't like you would think that they would grasp the fact that they probably don't like it when someone does that to them.
Yeah, so you're
So
doing
why
this.
do they then turn around and do it to somebody? Like it's a very strange thing to me.
I honestly, you summed it up perfectly when you said it's a bizarre waste of time. That is like
Yeah.
that's a really they should make a record waste of time. You know, a really good saying.
Record.
Yeah, I think I want to get tattooed on me somewhere just because that's a bizarre waste of time. That's awesome. But I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of the world right now. Bizarre waste of time. Um, this is where I say I want of becoming a wizard when I'm older. You know, you and I have talked about this private a lot. I want to
Right.
be, and I will. I'm old as hell. I'm going to buy a wizard costume. I'm going to walk around. I don't know
Yeah.
where, why, I don't know.
Maybe you should like instead of buying one off of Wish, you should like make this like a project of sewing it together, hand sewn wizard robe. Like I'm thinking that you could, take your old like band t-shirts and like patch them together and make this like elaborate coat
Can
of
I
coat of many colors kind of wizard robe of band t-shirts.
can I get Toby to make my wizard uniform? I'm going to ask that
That'll be the new merch. Soft kill wizard robe.
wizardry section.
That'd be
I'm
hilarious.
kidding, but I had to bring that. I also want to bring up.
Whittle down one of your guitars into a wizard's like staff.
Oh God, I couldn't do that. Uh, but I do work in construction. So I have material I can go grab and
There
whittle
you go.
along.
Big piece of rebar.
Okay. Uh, funny. That's funny. I did. I'm not sure if you want to. We're talking about music and whatever. My band, my first band, Wise Man, one of the, I actually wrote the first Wise Man song in 2005, like a week ago, and got a hold of guys, and we were going to meet this year. Of course, just put it out there, but that's exciting for me.
Right on.
Yeah, and Wise Man's completely different than Secret Post. So when I send you the preview, don't be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But it's fun.
Yeah.
It's,
See, you're still doing stuff.
yeah, and I think I've seen those lo-fi demos. And for some reason, I've been writing them in fours. Like when in quarantine or whatever, or shelter in place first started. I did four, 8 days or whatever. Then I didn't touch a guitar literally 6 months. I mean, not even once.
Yeah.
And I just about, a month ago, I just recorded four more in a matter of, 5 or 6 days, whatever. But what's fun about them is I gave just to challenge myself as a musician. I gave myself 1 hour to write, compose, record, and everything. 1 hour. That's it. So whatever I had in 1 hour, I'm gonna stay in it. And I thought, I don't get here, but it actually worked out where I so, which is really strange.
That's cool. It's kind of like what is that thing? NaNoWriMo, whatever. Is that what it's called? Where every year they do that writing thing where you're supposed to write X amount of words a day, and it doesn't matter what it is. You just
Right.
It's similar to that, yeah.
This is something fun to do. Can't play with your. You might as well just do something. So have you guys do any of that writing?
Yeah, actually.
I know you, but
Mike
is
plays
it?
guitar all the time. And we're working on an EP. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say
Don't
what.
say. Don't
I
say
better,
it.
I better not say anything. But yeah, we're working on an EP, and like we're working with John Fair, and he was early Lycia. And
Mhm.
then Dave Gaulis is coming back. We're gonna do at least one song with him, and so we've been working on stuff. Plus, we're prepping to do that Phoenix thing. We're supposed to do our video by this weekend, by the way. But I don't think we're gonna get ours done.
Yeah, I've got one guy in my band that is not. He's in quarantine, like actual
Oh
quarantine. So,
no.
like, what do I? So I thought about just doing like a program and then playing
Yeah.
some of it. I don't even know what to do. I don't want to like shortchange whatever we're supposed to be doing. But these days, I'm like, what do you do? You have a
No,
guy out.
I think that would be fine.
Because last time was really fun for the cat, the sanctuary deal. That was super fun. We got to a venue all ourselves and and that was really fun. And this time, we have people that are actually sick. Oh, I'm like, oh great. What am I supposed to
Is he sick or has he just been exposed?
expose like trace contact? So
Yeah. Oh, that's scary.
yeah, but I don't want to do with I'm like,
No, no, no.
I
I know.
well,
I remember talking to you when this thing first kind of started and how paranoid we both were about the germs and like gargling apple cider and Listerine and
only was. I was
yeah.
doing, and like every time you went grocery shopping, or did the pickup, it would literally take an hour and a half. But here my wife's a nurse, she's an RN, so she sees it. And that's what another thing. It always makes me laugh whenever I see these videos of the hospitals are in. No, they're not. No, they're not. She tells me there are people are in the fucking hallways.
Yeah.
So we still wipe down groceries with the wipes
Oh,
and all.
us too.
But shit, it takes for. My God, grocery shopping used to not be that big of a deal. Now I fucking dread it. I'm like, oh my God, I have two teenagers and a 5-year-old boy, and the one 15-year-old eats enough for like 4 regular men.
Right.
And so it's like $500 runs we do it, and that's a lot of shit to wipe down. It's like,
Yes. Yeah.
actually,
I
that is
end up doing I get all my stuff delivered and it sounds so fancy. But
oh,
we tag team it. We'll tag team it. So like Mike will wipe everything down outside on the porch and then I bring it in and then I do all the stuff that we put in the sink and the hot water, like glass and cans and stuff. But it's a whole ordeal. But like, and I know so many people who don't take this seriously and they think like that's ridiculous. You don't need to do any. Well, we're not sick, so and we can't afford to get sick. Mike has juvenile diabetes. If he gets sick, it could be really bad. So
well, here's the deal. A thing that my family has experience with is people say, it's not going to be me. It's
right.
not. And so my wife's first child passed away at 2.5 from something like 1 in 6 million doctor that studies. And so it's really close to our family that it's not going to be me.
Right.
If there is, I don't understand how a parent, and I'm not ragging on anybody. It's your own choice. You do whatever. But I don't understand how, as a parent, even a 0.00001 chance is not enough for you to say, you know what, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
100%. I agree with you completely. It's not worth the risk.
No, here's the deal. If your child gets sick and passes, I'm gonna say from experience, you don't want that. That's.
I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know how you move on. I really don't.
It's so if there is a chance that could be, would you not rather have done too much for no reason or done too little and lose something that you can never get back? So
I can't even. I mean, that's exactly it. And you know what? what do you get out of it? Extra clean groceries.
Well, here's the deal. Even before this shit, I had buddies at work laugh at me because I'll put on a leather work glove to pump my gas. Okay, maybe it wasn't a weird virus, but I don't want balls. What if they were touching their balls or scratching their asshole? And I don't know what you do. If you wash your hands, bro, I don't want to touch that. So
Yeah.
I've been using hand sanitizer long before any of this. If I opened a free store or like a convenience store or whatever, my friends would laugh at me because I'm 6'3". When I reach up, my reach is 8 foot. I'll reach to the very top of your fucking door. Open. They're like, why are you opening it up there? I'm like, because no one else is. No one else is.
Exactly.
I don't want anybody else in here is touched because that's gross to me. So I was kind of built. I already and it didn't change my except for wearing masks.
Right. We even had masks in the house because where Mike used to work, people used to come in there sick all the time to the point where he would complain about it because they were literally sick and they would come to your desk and cough on you and then say, "Oh, it's just allergies." And he'd be like, "No, it's funny how your allergies are catching from person to person."
Yeah,
So he already had masks. Like if somebody was sick at work, he would just take out a mask and put it on. And they always made fun of him about it, and he don't care.
yeah.
Like fuck you, whatever. But so we already had some on hand when this whole thing started, and like I've been working from home for 9 years anyway, so it didn't affect me at all. But it's hard having your kids at home and they're missing out on social interaction with their friends, and it's just a different thing. But I would rather him miss out on some stuff now than die.
Yeah. Then you want to miss out on stuff now, or you want to miss it in life?
Right. Or him bring something home from school and get one of us sick and then we're gone. And then he doesn't have a parent. And
Yeah.
imagine the guilt of that. Okay, so I have a story for that. A friend of mine today told me that somebody that she knew just passed from COVID. And he had begged his daughters, please don't go out for New Year's. And they went out anyways, got
Oh,
sick, gave him COVID, and he died. Can you imagine the guilt of that for the rest of your life because you couldn't sit your ass at home
no,
for
no, I
one
can't.
night?
No, I can't.
I don't
I've
know how
only
you get past something like that.
you don't. I wouldn't. I had one. I had a parent, and I'm a mama's boy, straight up mama's boy. And there is, I see my mother 4 times in March. And I'm the guy that I call my mom every day, every single day. I don't care who fucking knows it or not. I'll break your fucking nose. But I'm a mama's boy. I'll crawl on her lap and I don't give a shit.
Aw.
I don't give a fuck what people think about that. But so it's been really hard. That's been hard, and she's getting older and stuff. She misses her grandchildren, but we do it anyways. The only time I've seen her is outside. We've been and it's fucking freezing here in the wintertime, so it sucks balls. But we've had a few outside things, and like hug and grandchildren and shit. And then I see, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not talking shit or whatever, but I see some, people I know that are having elderly parents over, and I'm just, what are you gonna do if they? I
I
mean,
know.
how would you feel? Just holy shit, So yeah,
I don't get it. And like, yes, it sucks not being able to see your friends and your family and stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, like all these people that got together for Christmas, what if that's the last Christmas that you'll ever have because you all got each other sick and killed some of you?
absolutely.
You couldn't let it pass for 1 year so that you had years to come. It's just, we live in such a strange up is down and down is up society right now that
I
I
know. I don't even, I hope that I don't even know what to say. It's just such a fucking weird time. It's a weird time to be alive.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
there's just the extreme hatred between people right now is just so ridiculous to me. I don't give a fuck who you voted for. I don't give a fuck about any of that shit, really. Unless you're a straight up, xenophobe freak nasty, or whatever. But it's just the human race right now. I'm just wondering if Mother Earth's going to say, okay, fuck it, I've had enough. I've had enough of you motherfuckers. I'm just going to cream. Because it seems like I feel terrible. Right now.
Sometimes like you think, I feel like in the past when like huge horrible things happen to society, it sort of like drew people together,
bonded everyone.
But this seems to have done the exact opposite of that. And it's such a weird thing too, because like in the past, like people seem to prize like intelligence and science and progress. Like you wanted to send somebody to the moon, you wanted vaccines to like eradicate disease. And now it's like some of us do still want to do those things, and then other people are like, no, I would rather just die. Like it's so weird.
It's fucking weird, and what's weird is when it's someone you've known for a long time or something, and like I said, I'm not passing judgment because who the fuck am I to judge me? But there's a lot of wows that I feel like I'm Owen Wilson out every day going, oh wow. I read something like, and I have unfriended more people, than I've ever.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't do it, you say something, and that is not to get rid of the hiatus from a band. The only reason I really kept Facebook is because it's a great networking tool, this and that. But I'm just about ready to call it a day on that shit. And just be on Instagram. But I would miss, things with people like you. Post.
Right.
So I almost want my shit down to like 100 people only. I got to find the 100 people that I actually give a shit about what they post, and that's it.
It's rough, and like I feel this sense of mourning like every day for like the last 4 years. Just finding out some ugly things about some people that I've liked a lot, and people very, very close, and like knowing that they actually hate people like me, but they don't realize they hate me because they know me. But if they didn't know me, they would hate me. Yes. And like it's people in your family and really people that you grew up with and stuff like that. And it's really disturbing to me because in the past, people were like Republicans and Democrats, and like you argued about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, it was just kind of whatever. But now it's like this ugly thing.
It is.
But I understand it because of like all the moral implications of a lot of it. Like
it's so far this way and that way now. It's not, I feel like be like here's where we're at now, and it used to be right here. We're just a little bit different back in the day.
Yeah.
And maybe that's being naive and being younger, and the 80s were just so great.
I don't think so though.
Because I feel like humans were better to each other in the 80s and 90s because it was closer to the 60s when all this stuff really went down, and I feel like it was a better time. How do you go backwards? I don't understand how you go. We're so fucking far back. I don't even want. And like I started getting weirded out not too long back with all the police brutality and stuff and the killings. My wife is brown. I told her, I said, I don't want you to go to the grocery store at night. I agree because she's not that this means anything, but like she has a Porsche, so I don't want her to be and I live in a very suburban place, very outside of the big city, kind of hee-haw. And I don't want, Cletus pulling her over and being like, "Where'd you get that car?"
Right.
And then her being like, "Fuck you, bro,"
Right.
And and that maybe that, but these days it's in my head.
Of course.
Terrible thing. I don't feel like it was like that 15, 20 years ago at all.
I know. I don't know if it's that we didn't see it because people hid it.
Yeah, we didn't see it.
Yeah, maybe they hit it then, and it's more like people have become more emboldened to show who they are. I don't know, but
And
it's
we have supercomputers in our hands, so everything is accessible. But
yeah.
that's a weird fear to have for me. So, like, um, that's just weird. Back from where I don't feel like well, I feel like so much further than this as humans. I don't know.
Yeah, it's disturbing to me. And even,
Mm-hmm.
with the whole vaccine thing, and like I keep seeing all these people posting how they will not get the vaccine, they're not going to get the vaccine, blah 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 blah. And like some of these people I know for a fact are vaccinated. Like their parents got them all their vaccines, but yet now you're suddenly skeptical. And it's like I feel like people used to like appreciate science and advancement more than they do now or something. It's almost like it's becoming like witchcraft again. You know what I mean? Like instead of it being like, oh, these scientists worked to find this cure and people being thankful, they think they're witches again. Like, oh, it's just witchcraft. It's really weird.
I will admit, at the very beginning of this thing, I thought it was too rushed, and I told my wife I don't that from that company. And it took me, and I taught my friends about this, and I'm like, oh wait, I have literally in my vein, and had relations with things I should, I'm still alive, so what the fuck am I worried about? I literally have put drugs in me that have way worse stuff in it, probably, and so I was caught up with that. Oh, wait a minute, they rushed it too fast. This company's sued for whatever. So I was totally guilty of that at first, and then I just had to turn my brain on. Wait a minute, already had several, at least I didn't have polio. People got that shit too.
Well, and I mean, it's normal to be scared and skeptical. You should be concerned. Like, that's common sense. But to be straight up, Bill Gates is putting nanotech into this vaccine to track. I mean, really?
I'm like, hey, motherfuckers, you have that nanotech in your pocket 24/7.
You knew a number when you were born.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. It's already there. If you talk about sailboats right now, tomorrow, our phones are sitting. Tomorrow, sailboats will come on your Facebook feed.
Right.
So you already have a microchip in you, motherfucker. It's called an Android. So.
Right. So it's bizarre to me the illogical mindset of a lot of people. It's disturbing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What can you do? Just do what you do.
Yeah, do
the right thing for yourself and
keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Keep
man. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get off the morbid stuff.
I know, right?
Yeah, because like the whole world.
So you mentioned that you're going to be a wizard. Now, how are you taking these steps towards becoming a wizard?
Well, I feel like I've got a step leg up in this because my mom has been into Wicca since before it was popular. It's not one of those Instagram Wiccan,
right?
Actual, since the early '80s. I'm just kidding about that, but I feel like, and I don't know, I just have this thing that like I was reading The Hobbit and things like that, and Silmarillion when I was in 5th grade. And I just love wizards, and I figured now that I'm older, I'm like, man, if I reach the age where I can really, because you do become invisible at a certain age.
Yeah.
I talked to my mother about this, and it's really strange, she feels like becoming to that point where you become invisible, which is weird. So I refuse. Put on a wizard outfit, you're going to see me, and I'll be like, you shut up! I don't know. So I do that, I don't know. I think it's fun, and I like wizards a lot.
Start growing the beard at some point.
I don't know if I do that. I'm not for myself. mostly because my shit's red. It's all like some evil Irish.
Like a young Santa.
Yeah, like oh, he looks like a Santa Claus. Yeah, I'll do that kind of Santa Claus or something. No, but I just like and I think wizards are cool. And I don't know.
I think I'll have to become like an old swamp witch or something.
A swamp witch. What to
a desert witch? I don't know.
We'll have to hang out. I think I've that before, a swamp bitch or whatever. I need a render. What does this look like? I need a render. I can imagine, like, but I'm gonna need a render swamp witch. You can make that happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I used to say I was going to keep dyeing my hair black until the day I died. So I would be that creepy little old lady with jet black long hair. And then a couple years ago, I was just like, I'm so done dyeing my hair. Like, it's such, my hair grows fast. So it would be like you dye it and it would look good for 2 weeks. And then it would be time to dye it again. And finally, I was just like, I'm over this. So I haven't dyed my hair in like, I think it's probably about 2 years now. So I'm not going to be the creepy little old lady with the jet black hair, but maybe the creepy little old lady with white hair down to her ass. That's kind of creepy.
From the swamp.
You see that.
But from the swamp.
Well, yeah, sure. The desert.
Where does the swamp come in?
There's no desert, or there's no swamp in the desert.
Oh, that reminds me. So desert. I know before about the song "Desert" from.
Mm-hmm.
And crazy that when I lived in the desert, that song actually, I went on a 3-day bender once, and I literally played "Desert" on repeat for 3 days while I was awake on drugs.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then it turned into it went from that to "Wish Impossible Things" by The Cure. For literally 3 days. So, but those were the 2 songs I was going through.
That's interesting. So, on this bender, did you have any visions or, I guess visions while you were doing this?
I think I chose Desert because that was there were about 4 or 5 songs I was listening to when I got to the I've been to some pretty dark places in my life. I've had to rebuild myself, and but Desert always seemed to be the one that I would go to. Like it sounds funny. I said that when I would go out in the middle of the desert and listen to Desert. Like at the time I had a van that I bought my van so we could tour. And so I would take it out, and I lived in the mountains at the time, right outside of Palm Springs, and but I just wanted to express to you, how important that song was to me in a time of my life where it was bad times.
Yeah.
I brought that up, but now it sounds funny to say out loud. I liked the song "Desert" a lot when I was in the desert.
Well, I tell you, that album changed my life, obviously, because somebody sent me a dubbed copy of Ionia as a pen pal. And as soon as I popped it in, like I'm right in the person's back, and like the music popped in, and I was like it stopped me. And then I went back to writing. And then when Mike's voice kicked in, I literally was like, I'm done. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to know this person. I wrote my friend back and I'm like, who is this band? Initially, I thought it was a Carl McCoy side project because Mike's voice sounds a lot like Carl McCoy from Fields of the Nephilim to me at the time. But anyways, so I write this guy back and I'm like, who is this band? Do you have an address for them? Blah, 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 blah. So then I wait for his letter to come back, and he's like, no, I don't have a email or a email. There wasn't even an email. I don't have an address. Here's
Right.
here's project's address. So I wrote project a letter, and I'm like, please give me an address where I can contact this person. And Sam wrote me back and was like, I assume because you don't have Mike's address that you have a dubbed copy of the cassette because the address comes on the anyway. So he was basically like ripping on me for having like a dubbed copy of the album. But anyway, he sent me Mike's address. And so I started writing to Mike or whatever. Years later, when Mike and I got married, Sam had my original letter that I had written to him asking for Mike's address, and he had that framed and gave that to us.
That is super
kind of funny.
Yeah, that is super cool.
Yeah. So that album is obviously super important to me. Like everyone will always say, "Well, what's your favorite Lycia album?" That has to be it because it changed my like literally changed my life. So
that's the one that drew me in for sure.
Yeah.
I think I still have the original I bought when I was a teenager in my CD collection that doesn't do anything now because they're on my phone, but I do have it.
That's cool.
But I just wanted to express how important that album and that song is. Very nasty.
I will pass that message along to Mike. That's cool.
Let me look at my notes here. What am I missing? Let's see.
You have notes. It's so funny.
I do, and I'm not doing that before. I'm not having that. We covered most of my stuff.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of other prolific things. Yeah.
That's why I think this is fun because you just kind of have a rough idea what you think you might just talk about, and then it always
we went
into some weirdness.
Well, it went better than I thought. I would end up talking about cats. I forgot.
We can talk about cats. I always see you commenting on my friend Stephanie's kitties.
Always, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a huge cat. I like dogs too. I've had dogs, in my life, but I don't really identify with much as cats. Cats are I myself am somewhat of an asshole. They don't depend on anybody other than having to scoop or whatever, but that's what it's for. Anyways, I think that, and I love your animal pictures. I think that's what we need. I mean, that's what we need to focus on is animal pictures. Maybe that will fix all the needs.
I follow a lot of hamsters, foxes, the Brussels Griffon dogs, and I follow several vacation things. One is for France, one is for Italy, and one is for Sweden. So I get all these beautiful like posts about Sweden and Italy and France, and then like a hamster eating a cracker. Like and then of course all my gothy witchy bands and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's Instagram is so much more pleasant, I think, than Facebook.
There is a group on Facebook that is really cool. It's the view from my window. It's really cool. It's like people all around the world post their view from their window.
That's cool.
Yeah, from like Thailand to somewhere in Ohio to East France, or it's really cool. But I really like that page because it's basically people just taking a picture out their window, and it's all these from Alaska to it's crazy. But I recommend that one. That's a good one to.
Yeah, that's cool because it's interesting. Like I could definitely be a peeping Tom. I like to just watch people, like, and not for a creepy reason. Like, I don't want to know what you're doing with your girlfriend or whatever, but just I just like to watch people. And so something like that I think is interesting because everyone's so weird and different and interesting to me. Like, I love reality TV, even though I know it's all scripted, but normal people just are endlessly fascinating to me. So seeing how somebody lives and like what their view, like when somebody posts a picture like of you in your room, I wouldn't look at you. I'd be looking in the back to see what kind of things you have because that's interesting to me.
I'm the same way, and I have this thing. I talk to someone on the phone. I like to imagine where I know where you're at. So like, but it's kind of weird. Maybe some of my friends are weird. I'm like, tell me about your environment, because it makes me feel better for me to know where you're at. And yeah, and like I'll be driving along, you know, and there'll be a house with lights on. Like, I wonder what they're doing. You know, not in a weird way, but like,
Yeah, exactly. It's not creepy. I mean, it
yeah,
probably is creepy, but like
probably. Yeah.
I totally, when I was a kid, I used to totally like at nighttime go out and like, this is my neighbors if they knew this. I would just go and like look in their windows and like watch them watching TV. And like, I mean, that's probably really creepy. But it was just interesting to me to watch people when they don't know they're being watched. Oh my God, that sounds so creepy.
Yeah, the more you say it out loud, I know what you mean, but say it out loud, it's funny.
I don't do that anymore. Let me state for the record. I was a little kid. But yeah, I mean, I still would if it was legal, but it's
Well,
not.
have you seen those weird videos of like people living in people's ceilings, like in New York apartments, where they have fucking videos of them coming out and taking food and shit, and they're
That's
going,
horrifying.
dude. I mean, they're not doing anything weird, but how fucking weird would that be?
No, that's horrifying to think that someone's living in
Yeah,
your walls and stuff.
yeah.
No.
See, that reminds me of you know, the Stephen King book, The Cat's Eye. You remember that movie in the '80s, The Cat's Eye?
I didn't see it.
But it really fucked me up when I was little. Uh, it's this little whatever it is that comes out of the wall, and yeah, it's got a little swirly, and it sucks the breath out of you while you're sleeping.
Oh,
The folklore is that cats will suck the breath out of the
yeah, yeah,
baby.
yeah.
The whole time it's this little fucking goblin that comes out of the wall, but it's only like this big. You need to watch that shit because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
You know what I think? I think I saw somebody posting stills from that. Does it look like almost like a little like tribal trollish looking thing?
Yeah, it's like a little.
Was Karen Black in the movie?
What's that?
Was Karen Black in the movie?
You know, it probably came out in '82 or '83.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's horrifying.
I don't remember the actors, but yes, it totally. You know, and I had night terrors as a child, so that probably really helped me out a whole lot.
Oh yeah, yeah, perfect.
For letting me watch that fucking movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, things living in the wall. That's just that.
So you said you had night terrors as a child. So I love spooky stuff. Talking about spooky stuff. So when do you have them as an adult?
Rarely. Not like I used to have them. Like I used to have them so bad that, well, I had them so bad. My mother would try to wake me up, and I would hallucinate. I couldn't wake up out of the dream, and I would hallucinate and you know, just totally be out of control, and you know, this and that. So she took me to a psychiatrist or whatever, and all this stuff, and they put me on medicine to keep me from, because my mom was scared that if I died in my dream, I would die for real, you know.
Right.
And so, but they put me on this medicine, and then my mom took me off it because she thought that I wouldn't be able to run or defend myself from whatever was in my dream, and I would actually die. So it was a whole routine that she would have to do. She had to wake me up and take me to the bathroom sink and splash water on my face and do all this weird shit. And but it's really strange that, you know, I had those kind, and then I also have this reoccurring dream I've had since a child, and it wasn't until probably 5-6 years ago I talked to my mom about it, because it's not really scary. What it is, it's a dream where it's more like a feeling, and it's like if I look at my arm, like my arm is like really thin, and then my hand is regular size, and when you see it, you have this almost nauseating feeling, and that's why it's, and you want to wake up really quick because it's this just and anyway, so I was telling my mother about this, and she has the same fucking dream her whole life. Like we share this.
What?
And she was like, no one has ever been able to describe to me, because you know I'm pretty good with words. I'm not a talented writer as you are, but I can be descriptive. And when I described it, tripped us both out like big time. We were both like, holy shit. Because she has the, hi Sashi, here's one of the keys.
That's so weird.
Yeah, but it's not like a scary dream. It's a more of a feeling, and it's
like uncomfortable.
Yeah, like big. I can't even describe it. And like I said, and it's like when you look at yourself, it's like your arm is like this. I don't know, like
That's so weird.
a guitar cable. Like if I was looking at my arm would be a guitar cable, and then my hand's like normal size. And when you see it, it gives you this disgusting feeling. Where's Sashi? Where?
Wow, I wonder what that means.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's always in a very, very light kind of pastel 70s green room. And that was the color of my room when I was a baby, my mom said. So that's where that color, that's weird that that's in there. But it's super strange that that's been a dream that she has had. And you don't have it all the time. It's probably once every 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
But she's, I'm not going to tell you how old she is because that's rude to tell a lady's age. But she's been having it her whole life. And she had never mentioned it to anyone because it's so hard to describe.
Right.
But it was super weird that my mother has
Wow,
that.
that is weird.
Yeah, but it's not like a night terror. The night terrors were, I can remember some. I had them all the way when I was 10 or 11. And it was the sleep paralysis, not being able. But I also, from that, learned how to control my dreams pretty well. Like if I wake up from a dream and I want to continue having that dream, I can continue having it like while I sleep. About 80% of the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, same thing. If I'm in a dream and I don't like the way it's going, 80% of the time I can say, "Wake up! This is a dream," and I can get myself out before it gets to 20.
Cool.
Yeah. So whatever, however I trained myself for that, as I was a tormented child, yeah, it was super weird. But now there's a movie called Pan's Labyrinth. I don't know if you've seen that.
I saw that.
Hey, the guy with the eyes and his. I used to dream about that guy when I was 14. So when I saw that movie, I fucking flipped out. Another movie is called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Have you seen that?
No, I have not seen that one. I don't think I saw that one. I don't think so.
The little guys that live underneath the ground that whisper to you that eat children's teeth. That's what they eat.
That's
I used to dream about that when I was 3 years old as well. So when I watched that movie, it literally gave me hair standing up. So if someone wrote that, they obviously have dreamed that as well, But how weird is that? That makes me think. Or that's weird because that's.
Does make you wonder, like, how many of us have the same dreams and we don't know it because we don't talk about it, Like, there'd be no reason for me to tell you I had a dream about XYZ unless it's relevant. And so, like, maybe that person dreamed this guy and, like maybe they're these spirit beings or something, or you're tapping into this like alternate dimension where these things really exist and who knows. I find all that fascinating.
Oh well, if you have not seen Afraid of the Dark, you need it is because it may not be one of the dreams, and it's not that it's scary, but who would dream up little things that like to come out and eat?
Right. That's creepy. Aww.
This is what my youngest son calls the lost kitty because she was in a house that we were building, living underneath the bathtub. How small she is. She was pregnant. All her babies died because it was cold outside.
Oh, she's so little.
Okay, there you go. So I suckered my wife. We're gonna foster it healthy because she was skinny, had worms.
Yeah.
Well, she's staying.
Yeah. Aww.
Sweet girl. But anyways, yeah, dreams. So do you have any kind of dreams like that, like recurring? I love recurring.
I do have recurring dreams, but I can't really remember them to tell you. But I know that when I have them, I'm like, oh, I've had this dream before. I have a lot of recurring themes, and I'm sure they're all centered around anxiety. Like I have recurring dreams all the time where I'm at an amusement park on like a roller coaster or something like that, And as I'm on it, I realize I'm not buckled in. And so the entire time I'm like stressing out, like holding on for dear life. Clearly a stress dream. But
Yeah.
there's definitely places that I dream of, but I can't remember them when I'm awake to tell you. But I do have this thing where sometimes I'll be sound asleep and my eyes will just pop open and I'll see stuff in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened it's happened less than 10 times in my life, but it's always like weird when it happens because it's usually it's not scary when it's going on because your eyes just open. It's like they just literally just open and you'll see something and you're looking at it going, what is that? Why is that here? And then your brain goes, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be here. And then you freak out and then it disappears. But I've seen like people in the room. I've seen the scariest one was I woke up and there was a guy standing at the foot of the bed that looked like Predator. That was scary.
Yeah, I bet.
And just usually it's like an amorphous ball of light, or I've seen spiders a couple times and they'll be like big spiders like this big. And it just happened to me actually last week. I was sleeping in the bed, woke up, and I saw this spider that was about this big across the room on the edge of the ceiling. And I'm looking at it and going, okay, there's a giant spider on the ceiling. And I watched it walk all the way across the ceiling. And as it's going, I'm like, I said to myself, oh, yeah, this is one of those things that happens to me. And so it didn't scare me at all that time. And I just watched this big spider walk all the way across the room till it got right above my head. And then it disappeared. And then I went back to sleep. Like, usually it startles me, like, that's not supposed to be there and it scares me. But this time I said to myself, oh, yeah, that's one of those things that I see. And it didn't scare me. I just was interestingly watching it and like thought to myself, I wonder if it's going to disappear or if it's going to stay there.
You're super self-aware. That's pretty
Very
cool.
strange.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it happens just because I don't know what it like. I don't know what it is, so I don't like things I don't understand to happen to me personally.
But you like stuff, but not for yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by all of it, and I try not to dabble too far into it because it creeps. Like I don't like to draw any kind of negative energy to my like. I'm all into like watching like ghost adventures and all this stuff, but I do not want any ghost anywhere near me. Don't want to experience it. Don't want to hear.
Ever had any of that for yourself?
Yeah, I have in the past. But I used to like me and my friends and stuff. We were into the occult and stuff like that when I was young. So like a lot of weird stuff happened back then, but it was a lot of negative stuff. So I just don't even want to go there. So I would never live in an old house. I just don't want nobody else's energy.
Right.
Not for me.
Well,
I'll watch it on TV and I want to hear your stories about it and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to experience it myself.
Well, my great, had a shaman that followed her around life spirit, and family thought she was fucking nuts, and she was a witch, a long time, way before it was cool, like when it was dangerous to be, like in the 60s.
Yeah.
Super dangerous to even say that out loud. But I used to go nights with her, and everyone, in the family kind of thought she was weird Aunt Bunny, whatever. But I was super cool, because she always had, shades drawn and incense and candles and shit, and she wasn't afraid of it. And so she had this shaman that followed her from house to house. And my grandmother, full of shit, and she got really sick in the 80s and went to stay. So I could take care of her. Well, she was sleeping on the couch. And my grandma was not a person that would believe in ghosts or shit like that at all, no. And so she saw that the shaman came out, and walked over to her, sat down, and said something to her in some language and whatever, and did something. I can't remember if she forehead or on the chest. But she woke up the next day and her sickness was completely gone.
Wow.
And she told my mother years later, she didn't want to be like, you didn't want to be crazy, like, ain't crazy, ain't done. But that's where my mom got into it. But my mom knows more about it than I do, of course. But yeah, that she had a shaman that followed her from house to house that I guess was protecting her or latched on her. It wasn't a nasty experience. I myself have had a very nasty experience. I lived in a trailer once. I know I'm from Oklahoma. Yes, I've lived in a trailer.
I was born.
But so I lived in a trailer and this trailer house, and you know, nobody. It was vacant for a long time. And my dad, you know, he didn't make very good money, so we were very poor. But so we had enough money to get in there. Anyways, so I had a bunch of baseball caps. I've always been in baseball caps, so I had a bunch of kids, and my dad lined them up all around. So, and he always thought I was fucking lying to him, you know, because I was like 12 years old. And so I'd go in my room and I'd put my backpack against my door so it would be open, full of books, you know, and literally I would start dicking around or doing something or whatever, or drawing or reading a book, and the door would slam shut. Push my back. And I would get this weird feeling in there. And my dad goes, "You're full of shit," whatever, you know. He was, like I said, a rough, you know, Marlboro Man type man ass dude, you know. God, put me in the fucking pussy, you know, blah, blah. So one day he cleaned my room before he came and got me from my mother's house and hung all my hats up around the wall, you know, picked my whole room up, made it nice for me to come for the weekend or whatever. We get back from my mom's house and the room is fucking trashed. Like someone, all the blankets were off, all the hats were off the wall, all the shit in my closet was flung all out. And he was like, "What the fuck?" You know, so he said, "Clean it up." So I cleaned it up or whatever. Blah, blah. And I brought my best friend over at the time to spend the night. So we're in there and we're 12 years old, giggling, looking out the window, trying not to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the fucking door slams. Wait. We both take off and we go jump in bed with my dad. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Get out of my bed," you know, or whatever. So he still wouldn't believe me, but there was always something wrong with that room. It was always colder in there than the rest of the house. It had a weird feeling. And so after that happened, my dad thought it was weird with the hats or whatever, but he went back there and he went to the room and he said, he's not a believer in that shit either. He goes, all my hair stood up on the back of my neck. He goes, I got chill bumps. And he goes, right then I said, "All right, motherfucker, you can have this room. I'll take my son's shit out of it. You can have this room, but you gotta fucking stay in the room because I pay rent here and I'm gonna fucking live here." You know, my dad, like I said, he's a tough guy. You know? We closed that door, moved my shit out, never heard another whatever. So, like a year later, the neighbors that never told us, assholes, that some dude got murdered in there, in that room. Now,
oh my gosh.
That being my room, you know, whatever. But yeah, he literally just went and said, "Hey, you can have this room, man. I'll move all the shit out. Just leave us alone. You know, I want to fucking live here because I pay rent here." And it did. Like, all right, cool. But how weird? It's weird. Yeah. That was my room, man. I'm like, "Come on, Dad, you stuff me in there." So people, you know, that don't believe in that stuff, that's fine and dandy. But I witnessed it firsthand. It was nasty. It was negative, like you said, negative and gross.
Yeah.
And all it wanted was that room, and he did that, and that was it.
You know, and that's what I always say about it too. It's like, you know, I can't convince you that what I experienced was real, and I don't need to convince you that what I experienced is real. You don't have to believe me, and you don't, you know, whatever. Yeah. I know what I went through. You know what you went through. And if people haven't had to go through that stuff, good for them.
Yeah, good for you.
But don't, you know, don't tell somebody else what they experienced. Yeah. You know?
Oh, like you. I like to hear about it and stuff, but I don't really want any more of that.
Exactly.
In my life, but you know, I would like. I do like the shows where they go and, you know, would you stay in this house overnight or whatever. I would like to do that, and then I think, what if it follows you back? You know, you see those things where
an attachment.
Yeah, and it follows you house to house, and then weird shit happens. I mean, Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's better not to mess with it, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you don't want to. That'd be cool to have a shaman that'll heal you if you're sick. But shit. I'm
You
trying
know,
to go
don't
get
make
food, man. I want to go get some Italian food at an Italian restaurant. If I'd had that shaman, I'm like, oh, Rona, come on, touch me. I could use one of those, but
yeah.
bigger thing.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
All right, let's see where are we at on time. Oh, it's about time. I've been running around 2 hours on these things.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I know when I went into this, I said I was only going to talk for an hour, do hour-long ones. I can't say nothing in an hour.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, thank you for having me on. I had a really good time. I enjoy our chats, and we talk about nonsense mostly, but that's
right.
That's good.
That's, that's how it is. I'm super happy that I finally got to meet you.
Yeah. One of these days, when I'm on my way out to the other desert to visit, I'll stop in and say what's up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when life opens up again someday, who knows? Who knows?
I know. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, and stay healthy and keep making music when you feel like making music.
Okay. I will not wear Billy Squire shorts.
No, do it. I encourage that.
Rick, here.
Bring that style back.
All right.
Well, you have a nice weekend, and
Well, thank you.
we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. See ya.
Bye. All right, now how do I turn this off? All right.